Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. Hope this video helps some people in the future. And I also plan on making some more content for you guys very soon, so stay tuned.
Hey guys, start off by locating your code reader. Most code readers will operate under a similar scanning process. Please take a look at the linked video if you do not have a scan tool. Start off by selecting V/A, Audi, Common Special Functions, Electric Parking Brake, No, OK, Open Parking Brake. Once you select OK, you will immediately hear a whirring noise signaling that the caliper is retracting fully to its service position. Now you can start jacking up the rear of the vehicle. Of course, your first jack stand should go under the rail of the vehicle. Ideally, the second jack stand should go under the rear subframe notch. A third jack stand is always a good idea. Unscrew the brake fluid cap in the engine bay. Take off the wheel using a 17mm wrench. Do not leave the lug nuts on the floor and make sure to keep track of them. Locate the two 13mm bolts on the back side of the caliper. A shop light is a must for working inside this wheel well. Start loosening the top 13mm bolt. Please note that you will need a second wrench to completely take off these bolts. I have attached a diagram that shows where to hold the bolt with the wrench. Replicate this technique for the bottom bolt. Do not misplace these bolts as they're quite small and easy to lose. Slowly shimmy off the caliper from the rotor. Since my car has been daily driven in both the salt and the snow, it did take a medium amount of force. Absolutely do not leave the caliper hanging off by the brake lines. There's no perfect way to do this, but I used a combination of shop towels and coat hangers to support it. Now you can remove the brake pads on both sides. Please note that I had already replaced my brake pads prior to filming this video. Next, you will be moving on to these dreaded 18mm bolts. These bolts were incredibly tight. Even with a persuader bar, I still had a lot of trouble breaking them free. I would highly recommend using PB Blaster. I ended up applying 3 coats of PB Blaster with a drip tray underneath. Make sure to give it time to soak in. I ended up having to relocate one of the jack stands to get better leverage with the bar. Note that these two bolts are in fact two completely different sizes. The bottom bolt is longer. Now you will be able to remove the brake caliper bracket. Next, locate the T30 Torx in the center of the rotor. This will be the last bolt holding the rotor to your vehicle. If you daily drive your vehicle in the salt and the snow, it's very likely that you will need a mallet to break it free. Heavily wire brush and sand the center hub. This will create a lot of dust. I highly recommend a mask. This inside edge also had a great deal of grime and rust. Completely clean this up before you install the new rotor. Start wire brushing and sanding all 4 of the brake pad connection points. Quick tip when installing this new rotor, make sure to have that T30 Torx ready along with the wrench. You'll need it immediately. Depending on the condition of your T30, you might want to replace it so it does not strip. Reinstall the caliper bracket. I highly recommend breaking out the persuader bar one more time to really snug these bolts up. Here I am wire brushing the contact points of both the brake pads and the bracket. Just like I mentioned before, you will also want to grease these connection points. Install the new brake pads. At this point, you can move forward with the reinstallation of the caliper. I found that the best method was to gently shimmy it back onto the rotor. Before you move forward with reinstalling the two 13mm bolts, you'll need to check the rubber grommet seals to make sure they move freely and are not stiff. It's always a good idea to regrease them. Reinstall these two 13mm bolts by replicating the process that you did before. Spraying WD-40 will help with guiding the 17mm lug nuts. Make sure to guide all 5 lug nuts in by hand to ensure that you are not cross-threading. Use a star pattern to properly torque the lug nuts. Once the vehicle is on the ground, double check the tightness with a 17mm wrench and a persuader bar. Do not forget to set the parking brake back to close, otherwise you will get a light on your dash.
Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in. Hope this video helps some people in the future. And I also plan on making some more content for you guys very, very soon, so stay tuned.